Remember, the global partner team Sonics does get to go to PGS. Now, some folks might be wondering why they're playing. It's because they can still get PGC qualification points in this division. And that's important, Godspeed, because they have to still earn their way to the big show.
Correct. They still do need to make sure that they earn those points in order to get to the big show. And so going, whether it's through the qualifiers, even though they don't have to play, or, just doing really well at PGS2, that's exactly what they want, even as a partner team.
Now, road to PGC, the points that have been earned so far. Right now, the highest earner is LG with 300 points, Godspeed.
Yeah, LG have looked phenomenal, obviously starting and ending last year. They have been kind of the thorn in Sonic's side as far as winning every event throughout the last couple years, and they actually look very good this year. They want this year to be theirs, and they want to surpass the Sonics internationally as well, I'm sure. So we'll see.
And with all these points, you can see right there, first teams could seem to actually put together the gameplay that we expected out of them at an international event. And this is a big comeback opportunity, I think, for those 4 teams, or those 3 teams that we got to see out there for trying to perform.
Yeah, and at the very least, look, Sonics did at least manage to finish in the top 8, right? Of a very stacked tournament. So we have seen them obviously have a lot of success in the past. PGIS, do I need to mention it? But, we are also looking for Sonics to go forward and actually find that success yet again. Top 8 is not a bad finish at all, but we all know that the Sonics want to at least shoot for top 3, if not winning. So we'll see what happens with them.
The top 8.
What a good team. What an awesome group of lads. But here we are, the very first match. New sweeping changes, Matt. So much to talk about. What's the one thing that you actually find yourself most excited about coming into today? It could be anything, whether it's rosters, weapons, new gear, potentially not potentially, when we do go to Tego.
Define excited, because for me, I like stupid stuff a lot. So like having...
You do like chaos.
I like some chaos here and there. So, there's so many small aspects. Like I think that the smokes are going to be a large technical thing that we're going to be looking at, but I just want to see the meta develop on Tego whenever we get there. And
oh my!
Starting it off on Millie. Woo! Into one. Ethan trying to defend the other line of it as
well.
Oh, Sharp! Trying to move through. Sharp coming up in a big way right now. But here comes reinforcements. An entire different team in Sonics realizing there's an opportunity to be had here. Roth trying to defend up, retreats back into the more defended sections of this compound. But Sonics feel like they have the capability. Sharp shot is down. This is a 4-man advantage flooding into this one right now. Sonics know how they want to make the push. Roth trying to find the angle that is going to be safest to defend from, and he is not going to find it.
And what an absolutely insane fight at this combat. It looks like a war zone, vehicle smokes everywhere, and what presence of mind. Sonics saw their opportunity to go in right after that fight happened.
As you can see, not going the best, but still alive. Right now, it's just them and Tiltown that are going to be having to move, but shoot to kill using this hillside is going to be a terror for everybody else, guys.
Yeah, they have been doing a really good job. We saw them yesterday in the same position, Matt, and we wanted to see how much damage they could do from this position, and the answer happens to be quite a bit, especially with the split. I do understand what Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown is trying to do. They're trying to make sure they at least have that dip, and they do have at least a little bit of pressure here coming out at Old and Young, so they I do see what they're trying to do. I just worry that STK is going to start to tear apart that second duo in the dip.
Sonic's going to get eliminated as it's going to be Rats still holding on to this high ground that we're kind of fighting them as they were trying to hold on to the low ground just below LG and them. It's finally happening, Godspeed. We are here. We are at Tego. And I cannot wait for whatever is about to happen.
Oh, man, it's been years since we've added something new, specifically a whole map. Last time we added a map, it was it was a much smaller affair. So I'm ready for this. I'm very ready for this, Matt.
Hyped, but a little bit nervous. This is like the first time in years I have an idea on how things go right off the drop.
Right, and I mean, obviously we've been watching them play and practice and scrims and other things like that, but it's just completely different when you finally do get to the competitive environment, and this is exactly what that is. We did see some hot drops quite a bit over the last week. We'll see if those do continue here, but it does look like what we were watching with Oni and STK is actually... Wait, STK is actually going backwards towards them now, but this is just a completely new experience for all of these teams.
Whoa. All right, that's a hard shift. A dip that you didn't know was there kind of situation. I like the position play on that. Sonic's going for a more centered position right now, as well as it looks like what Tiltown is going to be doing. So now with Oni, they're kind of just hanging out right along this point. Looks like they might be trying to just stack up a little bit more loot. They do have TTG that's just going to be on the outskirts away from them. Nothing too crazy just yet, as Tiltown, again, continuing their pathing right next to Sonic's, but that's not going to lead to too much.
Nope, they're just going to take some shots, but again, Sonics with a nice, as you said, pretty central position above them. But I like this. I like just repositioning, regrouping, potentially going for a 4-on-2 or just pulling off completely.
Just get out of there. Hop in the car and go. If you can get it up to 88 miles per hour, you'll be safe.
Sorry, 3-on-2. They did lose one.
Yeah, but looks like we are actually no. He's gonna pull back out and then send it back in. Maybe trying to go for a pickup on his teammate. So TTG getting control over the northern part across from the road, but it is going to be the other members of Old and Young, the South, just trying to regroup this a bit more. You do notice the fact that Rats did shift off
Circles.
Yeah, Dynamic just in some trouble. I was gonna say they just cannot find a pathing that works for them in the slightest. This is a tiny circle now for the amount of players that we've still got. 49.
Yeah, it is. Boy, lands, there's really not that much playable area. I mean, even less so, I would argue, than on some of the other maps like Erangel and Miramar. So this could be an all-out bloodbath, especially on this next shift. I mean, there's also 3-4 teams that aren't even in the circle yet. Yep, it's going to go north, and so this is basically going to be a fight for the top of the hill.
Oh, King of the Hill, we're going to be going after Shoot to Kill, feeling very good after their rotate just a moment ago. So, gatekeeping going to be the name of the game, with Sneck still having a compound in very, very close to where we're going to be seeing Wit pass through. But again, remember, sightlines, not the... Slow creeping up into this one right now. Not a lot really happening, as we're going to see Sonics make a couple of sneaky moves in through this one. Nothing too creepy for them to have to deal with just yet. And this is kind of just using the terrain like we're talking about. It's the best way I can describe it is it feels like a Miramar game happening across this hillside right now. On to Icon, 7-Up DD, trying to figure out exactly the best way to handle this one. Blue Zone's coming in. I like this. Trying to move into the gatekeeping position, force them to come into you. They're going to go down with some assistance at range. But also, while this is all happening, Third Eye is getting demolished by Sonics.
But as you said, meanwhile, Third Eye just having a rough go of it. Sonic's going to find a couple of their members, and now they're just down to 1.
It's going to just be LG getting control of the north.
Yep, and honestly, again, Sonics did the same thing as LG. They saw that fight going down between Friendly Fire and SDK. They saw the knocks, and now they are spreading out and trying to take control. 6 kills on the side of the Sonics as they now push towards the north to try to take out Friendly Fire. If they can do that quick enough, they can even turn around and maybe spin it onto the fight happening between M762 and Rats. But look at this. Sonics just so much pressure moving forward.
They are funneling Friendly Fire up to the north, and guess what? That's going to be exactly where LG is going to be at. Pretty Curdy just trying to retreat from position, realizing how he's in the thick of everything. So shot's going to be coming out from Shark Shot, get the knock onto Shrimsy, but it doesn't really matter. While Shrimsy is going to get flushed, Sonics have their defensive line set up the way that they want to have it. Circle is going to pop, and now LG has to decide how hard do we want to push what's going to be going on, as the fight is still continuing between Dragon Tiger, Barrel Showdown, and Rats.
Does look like Rats are not necessarily trying to pull away, but just trying to create some space, maybe try to third party this fight between the Sonics, as well as everything going on in the north between LG and Friendly Fire. But
while this is going on, Finna is going to go down. Rats got to try to figure out a good pathing around this. This is its own isolated fight, as Sonics are kind of looking into what's going to be going on with Shoot to Kill and Friendly Fire, but you can see Rats not in a rush with this. Instead, trying to do their shopping, trying to get situated. Those guys are going to get eliminated by LG, as I think also we're going to see, it's going to just be LG getting control of the north.
Yep, and honestly, again, Sonics did the same thing as LG. They saw that fight going down between Friendly Fire and SDK. They saw the knocks, and now they are spreading out and trying to take control. 6 kills on the side of the Sonics as they now push towards the north to try to take out Friendly Fire. If they can do that quick enough, they can even turn around and maybe spin it onto the fight happening between M762 and Rats. But look at this. Sonics just so much pressure moving forward.
They are funneling Friendly Fire up to the north, and guess what? That's going to be exactly where LG is going to be at. Pretty Curdy just trying to retreat from position, realizing how he's in the thick of everything. So shot's going to be coming out from Shark Shot, get the knock onto Shrimsy, but it doesn't really matter. While Shrimsy is going to get flushed, Sonics have their defensive line set up the way that they want to have it. Circle is going to pop, and now LG has to decide how hard do we want to push what's going to be going on, as the fight is still continuing between Dragon Tiger, Barrel Showdown, and Rats.
Does look like Rats are not necessarily trying to pull away, but just trying to create some space, maybe trying to third party this fight between the Sonics, as well as everything going on in the north between LG and Friendly Fire. But we still have Purdy Curdy actually somehow surviving in between. He's made it to the south side of where the Sonics is pushed up, so he's just trying to hunker down and stay alive. But Sonics, again, still pushing that pace. I'm just looking for when LG is going to choose to pounce.
It's just, they're playing this so cautiously right now. Mine has spotted them out and taken a couple of shots into them. SDK's Pretty Curdy also has now realized where Rats are, and that's going to reveal his position. He's going to go ahead and go down. More and more nades going to be tossed down from Sonics to see if they can connect. It looks like they're getting closer and closer, but not going to be able to do enough. While this is going on, remember, Friendly Fire still has to move. And, like, there's no good angle to get out of that.
Yep.
Rats.
But look how sick this map is, Matt. We have so many different fights happening on so many different points of just this one hilltop. This is just a sample size. As the Spoon is going to take a shot, no, he won't find it. And Purdy Curdy is still going to stay alive. He's going to find another team, and that's going to be a second wipe for STK as they stay alive with Purdy.
With this now, we've got LG, M762, Sonics, and Third Eye. Third Eye with Vox hiding out. He does have LG pretty close to him, so he might not be too long for this world. Yep, he's going to go ahead and get taken down. Sonics now looking in, realizing how they're going to want to navigate this. We still have a very strong showing coming up from Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown, a.k.a. M762, as they've got kind of a position to the south, separated out. And remember, we saw them just looting some crates, so you know they have to be pretty strong.
Yeah, not only that, but they did a really great job of helping dealing with the Rats. And so at the very least, they do have a good amount of gear. They have 4 up and they have a solid position. In fact, they actually have basically center dot. So this is going to be on to Luminosity and Sonics to kind of figure out how they want to fight this. If they are going to wrap towards the north on each other, obviously at this point, I do believe all teams know where the other ones generally are. And so this is just going to be a war of attrition and who's going to make the first mistake or who's going to make give themselves the best advantage by opening up a knock on one of these plays.
Sonic's down a member, but do have the high ground to work with. LG playing this a little bit slower, counterman around this one. They know the fact that they've got most of their area taken care of. M762, though, now moving a bit more sneaky, trying to creep up on the opposite side of Sonic, seeing if maybe they can pinch him in. Sonics do have their back right up against the zone wall, so any stall coming out to this is going to be massive. We are still only in phase 7, though, so let's not forget there's still going to be one more big circle after this one. Shift is going to go in pretty much everybody. It's kind of neutral, right?
It's kind of Sonics, though, actually, because look, it's pushed out. It's definitely pushed out the Dragon Tigers, and it at least gives a little bit of safe haven for LG, but Sonics now have a really good position. The problem is they are potentially going to get sandwiched here. If that push comes in from both Dragon Tiger and LG, they are going to be in a lot of trouble, and both of those other teams are going to realize that as well.
Looks like Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown are opting into leaning a little bit more into this trench, hoping that LG will be the component for Sonic's demise, but this is kind of a game of chicken, right? Nobody wants to take this fight.
Nobody wants to fight. That's right. Nobody wants to be the first one. Exactly.
If you take that fight, that means that you're going to get third party and you're going to lose. So you got to get the knocks at range and try to get something. Sonics are all just stacked up right on top of each other, realizing the fact that the territory they're having to contend with is getting more and more complicated by the second. Meanwhile, a much more stealthy approach still coming out from M762 as they have to creep up. They're kind of the odd team out into this one. But with the way that they're playing it, it feels like LG has so much control over the West. Sonics do have the high ground, but are kind of trapped up against it. And M762 just doesn't want to overcommit yet.
No, they don't. But at the very least, they still need to make sure that they're in the circle. Sonic's very aware of this as well. And so, yeah, like you said, nobody wants to fight first. No one wants to be that first knock or that first engagement because that's going to spell pretty much doom for the team that does get that first knock eaten. So this is a stalemate. They're basically going to wait until this circle closes out. As you see, LG has slowly pushed themselves towards that center dot, so they will have control of that. And this is going to come down probably to a phase 8, phase 9 shift.
This is such a dynamic section for our first game on Tango to be in. You can see players trying to try to figure out exactly where the approaches could be coming from because it's so vertical. It's got so many dips. It is so sneaky. You have no idea where somebody can be hiding. Most of these teams have an idea on how this is going to be lined up, how many players are in each one of the remaining teams. At the same time, it's not as clear as they think it is. They don't know exactly where the flips are going to be coming, who's the team with 3 members, unless they've been directly tracking that kill feed to the best of their capabilities. It's been chaotic at this stage. So now, circle coming in. We are now going to move into phase number 8. Circle just kind of kicks up to the north a bit. not too much. It's really going to be on to Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown to have to make another move.
That freaking name, man. I guess was it you or Steve that asked why that was their name, and they said just because it sounds cool for us to say. So I do thank Honey Badger for that.
Yeah, love them.
But just, I mean, again, this is just, oh man, I know it's slow, but this is actually so interesting to see how both LG, Sonics are trying to posture, maybe get a little bit of positioning, try to look for the members of Dragon Tiger because they do know that they're going to be off in the south and potentially cut off from the circle. So this is just a very methodical, slow burn. And just if you are looking to see how to play an endgame properly, especially in a situation where it's like a 4-on-4-on-4 or 4-on-4-and-3 in this case, watch this game. Watch the way that LG has been rotating both from the north to the south, keeping center. Just amazing control coming out from LG, as well as Sonics. Good patience, just making sure they don't overcommit. Again, no one wants to get third-partied here.
It's just getting to that stage where it's going to happen. LG, M762 are the closest ones to each other, but they do have that ridge line that's kind of separating them out. Up to the north, we've got Sonics. Do show a bit of themselves, so a couple of shots going to come out, or at least reveal one position, but everybody kind of knows where the other ones are lined up at this stage. There's not too many other hidey holes that can be dealt with. But you see all of LG spin directly to Dragon Tiger Barrel's position.
And this is also another thing that, one of the teams might choose to do, LG specifically. It's almost better sometimes, I do say sometimes, to take a fight as quick as you can, maybe try to take full aggression out on one team, wipe them quick. That way they can turn around and completely focus on the Sonics. But again, that's going to be difficult. Dragon Tiger is going to be 4 up on top of the fact that they do have good gear. You just saw that Mark 14 in the hands of Greg shot, and so this is tough, man. This is tough, especially with this King of the Hill situation. This is just all ridge line and tree line, baby.
Throwables are going to be so big. You can see Tig is still sitting on one nade. This has taken so long. It's going to be about utility management and who still has what. H1 sitting on one as well. Has an idea on where LG is going to be at. Smoke launcher coming into play, getting some smoke into the distance. Now it's going to be about the blue zone coming in, forcing it.
The smoke launchers. Sorry.
Got to creep forward into this one. You can see it. A lot of the eyes have been turning back into M762, but it does look like the exchange is starting to come out between Sonics. They've just kind of gotten too close to that firing line from LG. Backs up against the blue. They don't have a lot of options. It's going to be Dragon Tiger Barrel starting to make the moves in, trying to use the hillside. Quick exchange between the two of them. Now retreating back and away from it. Grenades now starting to come out to see if they can try to slow down anything that's going to be moving. Looks like Sonics now making the commitment down into LG's position. It's going to be Mime that gets its knock into this one to start off, but Flood gets one as well. That's 2 members now down for Sonics, trying to cling on to it, but the damage has been done back into LG's positioning. It is just going to be Snakers and Rello up. Here comes the Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown, looking for a showdown with LG, but that nade was huge! Massive knock coming out. Cowboy trying to make the push in, does get the knock, trying to eye it out, dancing around the tree, knows exactly where the last member is. Can he get the damage? No, he cannot. Snakers is still up, looking into this as Greg Shot knows exactly where he's at. Let's be real, this is going to be a hard fight to win as Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown walks away with 7 kills on the victory. But I also really love this map. I love casting this map. Higo, though, was like, I don't know.
It's that new fun. You know what I mean?
know.
It's that new goodness. It's exciting. I think we both really enjoyed that last one. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting northern plane path. So not too much of the south. Obviously, Sonics have been able to go where they want, but Circle is actually going to post right there on Cruise Divide. And again, this is what I was worried about. There's just nowhere to go. There's nowhere to rotate. Even with the vehicles, even with an emergency airdrop, which isn't even active this late in the game, it still would be impossible to just find a place to play where there isn't already someone occupying. On top of the fact that STK have done a wonderful job of controlling this west side, putting so much pressure on Third Eye. But Third Eye as well doing a great job of just staying alive. They have 2 knocked, but 6 kills. They're working for it as Purdy has been a thorn in their side.
LG has already opted into making a cross, so they're on the opposite side of the Death Star Trench. It's going to be Sonics. They're going to have to make their move, but they kind of have a path to work with. Now it's going to be Third Eye and Shoot to Kill stacked up next to each other.
Sonics actually has a really nice ridge on the south side. Their only real threat is if either Third Eye or SDK happen to see them when they're on that ridge, but they're going to be so busy fighting. The Sonics actually should be able to get something done, but that's going to be a knock coming out actually from Flood onto one of the members of the Sonics.
On with Dragon Tiger Barrel Showdown, so kind of letting them have their dip and letting them have to contend with Sonics and LG, situation. But the catalysts are still what's going on in the West.
Yeah, and Elevate with a wonderful position here. They have Ethan split in a 2-2 with Shinboy and Punage in the back, so they have all this cover. They should be able to see any pushes happening towards.
Sonics, this is kind of interesting to see how this is going to play. This is a good potential trap setup for whoever's going to win. Balefrost's going to go down.
This is a maximum point situation where they're just probably going to try to third party and get as many points as possible as they go into this.
And it also managed to get them separated away from what's going to be going on with M762 as well as LG.
Yep.
And double wins coming out now as here come the nades. Shoot to kill. This is supposed to be what you're known for, is LG trying to get something out of what's going to be going on with Third Eye. They've got the open angle into it. But Shoot to Kill still has a firing line and are trying to punish them, not let them pick up those kills, because Shoot to Kill, they sure as hell want them.
They absolutely do. Shoot to Kill has been here for so long, just trying to find some sort of opening, right, so that they can push or just get rid of Third Eye. But now with the Sonics coming around, Adam is going to spot that out. The push is noticed, and now SDK know that Sonics is also on their side of the road. Can and then start to put some pressure on Sonics.
Elevate has so much information to work with and so much harassing capabilities. They're going to go ahead and polish that off. Shrimps is going to go down and get flushed in what was a fun tactic coming out from actually Sonics. To try pushing to Shoot to Kill's location means the fact that they know how to kind of move around through this one. But note, we still have Sonics members that are playing to the south, right over next to where LG is at, as they didn't commit all of their members in. So while there is just one member that's lined up over there, let's not forget that LG still has to contend with what's going on with the remnants of M762, who doesn't go down off of that nade, is doing a good job of dodging everything, and now finally gonna have to deal with Sonics too.
It's gonna say now Sonic's slowly starting to creep up on this south side, trying to potentially get the knock. That's gonna open it up. Tiggleton is gonna find Relo. And SDK still alive on that west side. Sonics knows this. They know they can't completely ignore that, as Elevate also just waiting in the north.
Sonics feeling like this may be their opportunity, creeping in. Molotov now going to land. Fourth Robo's coming out. Kickstart doing a little bit of a dosey through the vehicles, but he's gonna go down. Good shot's gonna be coming out from Mon. All this happening, looks like Shoot to Kill's trying to make the push into what's gonna be going on with Elevate. At least getting a knock into him. Haven't opted into leaving just yet. And LG.
Look at this.
Woo. That was brutal. Sonics just did.
What a beautiful wipe. I mean, just that whole play and that whole sequence from Sonic, starting out, going to the west side of the road, crossing, wiping Third Eye, then realizing they want to go back, putting pressure on the south, getting those wipe knocks and kills onto just a wipe in general. I don't know what I'm saying. Onto LG has just been so impressive. Sonic's just in just top form right now.
And they're feeling it. They still have to catch up to LG, but this could be a big opportunity for them. Right now, presently sitting 11 points behind Elevate, sitting at 10 kills. Good game for them. This is finally being more of the Elevate that we were kind of seeing in scrims, and the expectations coming out. Now moving into that top half of the leaderboard, and the potential for even more. Tied up with Third Eye right now, but whoa, quick exchange coming out. And that's going to be Purdy popping off whenever he needs to. Elevate trying to reciprocate that, try to get back into that angle. Throwable's going to come out. Purdy rides the line right up against the wall, dodges it out, does go down, but Elevate takes some casualties in it. While this is happening, though, the Sonics are too far away. They can't exploit it.
Oh, but they can. They're at least at the they're going to start putting up that pressure. They've lost that member. They get the res, but now this is the bad thing about that fight for Elevate. Sonics have gotten that position. They've taken center circle, and they now have going to put so much pressure onto Elevate.
And they get there in enough time to try to do what the sneaky play that they're trying to get out. H1 now starting to creep up into this.
Just be very careful.
Well, there is a vehicle moving at range, and Stiggleton's going to hop into that. It might be enough of a distraction. Looks like H1's thought he has the money. Goes for the spray, does connect. Punage is going to go down. Gats immediately follows it. And Elevate, who's been comfy cozy over here for quite a while now, having to deal with Sonics, who are on an absolute massacre. They've decided that this map is theirs, and there is nothing to be had. Finally, Shinboy gets a knock into him, but the double up still going to be coming from H1 and Tig. They've got themselves a line, and they don't even want to give the kill back over. They're like, nah, we're going to get mine back up, and then we're going to see what we can do. Defensive line still coming up from Tiggleton. They managed to get it, and Sonics manages to do a massive game and try to catch up to LG.
And what a sequence from them, going to the west side, holding that compound, then going back to the south, wiping the team, immediately realizing, shout out to Purdy Curdy for them, getting that double knock onto Elevate was instrumental on giving them the time to push forward, and then using the vehicle as a bait with Tig, getting the double knock immediately coming out from Huyn and Mime. What a sequence, what a game from the Sonics.
Seeing if maybe he can bounce the nade around. No push coming out from that angle just quite yet, but gave Orion time to get the res, get back into position. Tickleton just braving right in opposite side of that wall is going to be Fluxy. Look at this also. H1 just kind of dashing across through the smokes right on the opposite side of that fire. So Fluxy did not have vision on that cross.
Oh, not at all. I don't even know if they know if Fluxy is there currently right now. Red Rider now trying to get an angle on the window. He is going to spot out Tig, so that information is going to be relayed out to Fluxy. Shoot to kill, meanwhile, is eliminated in the background, but Hwin is going to find him. The 2-on-2, Hwin and Tig. Can they actually get rid of the rest of Orion?
Oh, and an opportunity now arises. LG has been eliminated. Sonics have managed to fight their way in onto this point. They still have 2 heavy hitters, a lot for their squad. Red Rider still on a bit of damage control, cannot get into a position to res his teammate. So now H1 playing this one more aggressive, realizing that they've got the numbers. Molotov is going to slow him down, but H1, good timing on that. This is just going to be a double up, lined up against each other. Good spray. H1's going to connect. Ryan goes out, and the lead is diminishing for LG by the second.
And Sonic's able to at least get in that position with 2 is a huge boon for them, considering what their rotation was like and where they came from up on the north edge of the circle. On top of all the teams that you were talking about not even being in, but here comes Sonics. And oh my goodness, they get picked out of the sky. Shrimsy and Mime are done and dusted, and that is the risk that you take when you take this emergency drop. A lot of people were wondering how good it was going to be if you could just drop in another team. But remember, when teams are kitted and they have these, you know, ARs or even really nice kitted DMRs, dropping down at a slower speed is almost asking to get knocked. But I do really love the effort and appreciate what Sonics was trying to go for there.
I appreciate Tig up on the top of this one and H1 down in the dumpster. So that way Tig is kind of in a safety position right now, right? He can make something kind of work, just kind of surviving. He's not going to be easy to kill, except for other teams maybe trying to come after him, and I think that's might be what he's afraid of, is Elevate doesn't even really want to step out. It's just going to be Poonage, but he does spot out H1, who drops back down into cover in what is probably going to be our most awkward fight of the day.
Probably, and Elevate is just trying to stay alive at this point, as is Sonics. They're just getting shot as well from distance by Dragon Tiger, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just a mess, a big old mess. But as we've seen, Sonics is very good at taking control of the chaos. As we see Tig going in for the shots, Win's gonna find one. The trade is there, and Elevate will stay alive.